guys, welcome back to the channel. Sorry I've been away for 2 weeks. I've been so busy with work that I just simply have not had time to really do anything at all. So I wasn't able to put a video up last week, and this week was just crazy busy. Wasn't home the entire week, so my apologies. I'm pretty behind, but I think I'm back on track now, at least for a couple weeks. And obviously everybody's getting ready for Record Store Day next Saturday, so a week from today we'll probably all be standing in line or catching up with sleep because we're getting up too early to get in line to enjoy Record Store Day. As you can see, I'm getting prepared for Record Store Day, and I'm pretty excited. There's a few things I want. I'm going to save that conversation for next week. Hopefully you'll see a video from me kind of showing some of those things that I was able to get, but with Record Store Day, you never know. You know, you just you get in line, you take your chances, and every year I always get something. I can't say I'll get everything I want, but I'm sure I'll come home with something. So that's the plan. I hope you have a good plan for your Record Store Day, even if you're just going not so much to shop, but just to enjoy the day and be part of it. I think that's important as well. So go out and support your local record stores, and get out there and go through the used bins, just meet people, enjoy it, and even if you don't have money to go buy stuff, which I know a lot of people don't, just make sure that you do go out and support your stores, because I think that's important. So anyway, I did want to, before I get started, I got a pretty cool theme I think today for today's video. I wanted to say kind of a sincere thanks for, again, everybody who's entered my contest. My plan was to end the contest on Record Store Day, so I'm not sure if I'm still going to do that or not. I guess it kind of depends on how the day goes. If I'm a few days late, it just gives people more time to enter. But I guess, you know, as long as it's still up and I haven't announced a winner, feel free to enter. I'll put it that way. So it will just be a few days late if I don't get a video recorded on Record Store Day to announce the winner. Just know it's open until the time I pick a winner. So I've gotten some great entries even since the last video. That's been fantastic response, and a lot of new subscribers. I'm really happy with how many people have found this channel through the contest. I had a couple of big YouTube subscribers, Rockboy680, of course, you know, he made an entry, and that helps because he has a lot of subscribers. Mr. Hall of Fame has a tremendous amount of subscribers. When his video hit, it seemed to help people find my channel, so that really helped a lot too. So it's just been fun. I'm up over 600 subscribers now, even though this is a 500 subscribers contest, and that's exciting. So I've gained about 100 subscribers since the contest, and you know, I guess that is part of the rationale to do a video contest, but also just to say thanks for those who have stuck by me from the beginning, those loyal and faithful to the channel, those that are making videos that I enjoy watching. I've enjoyed every single entry, and I hope to get a few more before the contest is up, either a week from Saturday, or potentially we could go up to a week past that. So I guess we'll just kind of play it by ear and see how Record Store Day goes. So thanks again for the videos, thanks for the response, thanks for the subscribers, and get your entry in hopefully before Saturday, because I may end it Saturday, depending on how I do on Record Store Day, or I might extend it one more week. So if you want to be on the safe side, just make sure you get your video entered by a week from today. So that would be your safe bet. Okay, so on to today's topic. I don't think I'll be able to, I won't have to stretch this out too long, but what I decided to do today is, everybody has some favorite bands that have broken up, either long-term bands that have broken up well after their career kind of went into the twilight, or bands that barely got started. You know, and it's always heartbreaking when one of your favorite acts decides to call it quit, or just go on to do a solo career, or for whatever reason they just have decided to end their relationship as a band. And it's always a little bit difficult to deal with, so I thought today I would kind of just randomly, in no particular order really, and really no methodology to my choosing, just kind of off the top of my head, the first 10 that kind of came to mind saying I really wish that they were still together making music. So what I'm hoping for is a lot of good comments too, and maybe even some video responses if you feel inclined to make your own video responses. That would be fantastic. It's not really an official thread, but if you want to make a video response, just make sure you put a link into my this video here so I don't miss it. But I think it'd be fun just to discuss bands that are no longer around that we really wish were. So that's today's topic, and again, I just picked 10 that I thought would be fun to talk about. So I'll just get into it and go through it. First one on my list, this was a duo. I guess it's not really officially a band, it's more of a duo. But I was really heartbroken when the Civil Wars broke up. They had one album. It did incredibly well. This was their debut album called Barton Hollow. And, you know, they gained a lot of notoriety. They were filling up arenas. They were doing so well together. And shortly after this album came out, I don't know what happened. I don't know if they were in a relationship and it fell apart. I don't know what happened, but they decided that they could no longer work together for creative differences or whatever the reason is. They did release one more album. It was kind of a hodgepodge of stuff that they had done in between album and tour. Didn't really feel as complete of an album, even though it is a double LP, but I think it was just more one of those 180 grams pressed to 2 LPs. And it's good, but this is the album that really set their career off. And, you know, it's just so unfortunate that they didn't stick around because they were so good together. Their harmonies and the way they wrote songs together and the chemistry that they had on stage was really something special. So I really was pretty heartbroken when I heard that the Civil Wars were breaking up. So I put that on my list of duo, I guess in this case, of acts that are no longer around. The Civil Wars consist of Joy Williams, the female in the band. She has subsequently released a solo album called Venus, which is good. I like it, but it's not the Civil Wars. You know, so I hate to sound negative in any way, because this is a pretty good album, but it's more on the pop side, I guess. And I really like their kind of country rock, soft rock kind of feel from the Civil Wars. And even though I like this, it didn't leave that lasting impression like the Civil Wars did. And then really my favorite of the two is John Paul White. John Paul White has one solo album out. This was actually done before the Civil Wars, and I have no idea what he's been doing since the Civil Wars broke up. This is called The Long Goodbye, and it's a really fabulous album. I don't know how readily available this is. You'll have to look it up if you're interested, but this is a terrific album, and certainly we're hopeful for more music from John Paul White, the male from the Civil Wars, because I really think he has a fabulous voice. I like his playing, I like his songwriting. I think for me he's the more talented of the two, even though Joy Williams has a wonderful voice. I think together they were magic. Apart, well, I guess remains to be seen. So Civil Wars kind of starts things off. This is a silly one, really. The second one, I've got 10 of these, by the way. The second one is they released one album, got dropped from their label. It goes way back to the mid-'80s. And I was heartbroken for such a long time because my whole family loved this album when it came out. And it's a band called Reflex, The Politics of Dancing. They really never officially released anything after this album, and I don't know how much people have actually heard this album, but I love it. It's so 80s and so typical of the time frame that I don't know if it would be smart for them to get back together and try to do something now. I've got several copies of this. This one happens to be sealed, so I just keep it sealed. But they were just this was such a good album. Every song on here is amazing. If you like that cheesy 80s kind of synth-driven rock, which I do, and I think they did it as good or better than anybody at the time, even though it was just one album. Here's the track listing, and every song on here is just amazing. They had a minor hit with The Politics of Dancing, the title track. They released several other singles, Hitline, Hurt, Something About You. I've got singles for most of this stuff, and it's just a masterpiece, really. They did release a bunch of back music on CD here a while back in a box set, remixes and songs that were never released, and they were working on a second album, and they just got dropped from Capitol Records, and it was very unfortunate because they could never get their feet on the ground again. So Reflex is just a sentimental choice for somebody I'd like to see get back together, and even though it probably wouldn't work today, it still would be fun to see what they could do. This is probably a very popular one if you're thinking about starting a list in your mind. REM, they called it quits after many albums and a wonderful near 30-year career. But they, about 5-6 years ago, I think, decided that they were no longer going to put out new music or tour or be a band. And I know that broke a lot of people's hearts, even though their last few albums didn't do as well as the early to mid to third quarter of their career. They were always very successful. They were always a big act, alongside U2 and people from that 80s, 90s, and 2000s that carried on for a long time. College radio, one of the biggest acts in history in college music. REM is one of my top 10 choices of bands that I'd like to see get back together and do something, a tour, a new album, something like that. And most of the original members that was kind of the criteria for this. I'm not going to pick bands that there's no hope of them getting back together because they've either died or, it's just silly to do stuff like that because, there's no hope of the Beatles getting back together because 2 of them are no longer with us. And even if they were, that probably would never happen. This one is a band that could potentially get back together, all 3 members. And even deeper, 5 members could get back together potentially, depending on which variation of the band they wanted to go for. But Genesis is a band that I'd love to see do something else one more time. This was their last, for me, their last studio album. They did have one other album without Phil Collins called Calling All Stations, but I don't care for it that much. It's still decent, but it's not the Genesis that I liked. This was their last official album with Phil Collins, Mike Rutherford, and Tony Banks. You all know the story of Genesis, that Peter Gabriel was part of the band, as Steve Hackett was, and the big part of their commercial success came through the big three, towards the last 15 years of their career. And I would like to see at least that happen. Because I don't think Peter Gabriel has any interest in getting back with Genesis, whereas I don't know if any of them do anymore, and Phil Collins has health issues, and I don't know if he's even able to do anything anymore. I know he can't play drums, but he certainly could sing, and I know a lot of fans would love to see Genesis get back together one more time. Next up is a band that probably very little people know. I was a big fan of this album when it came out, probably in the late 80s. I see here, this is a label, this promo copy from 1990, June 17th, 1990, a band called The Blessing. They became very popular where I lived in Colorado growing up. During that time, KBCO in Boulder, Colorado was a big fan of this band, and subsequently went on to be a big fan of the singer of this band when they broke up. But they only put out one official album. They did come back later on and put out some unreleased stuff in an album called Mixed Blessing. And I think they actually did finally put out the second album on CD that they thought would never get released. I think it was called Locust and Wild Honey or something like that. But this debut album, just simply called The Blessing, Prince of the Deep Water, is amazing, and I love it. And there's a song on here called, let me think here, Delta Rain, that KBCO just played to death. And it was just a very popular act. Now, I followed William Topley's career much longer after that band broke up. And you can see here, I just pulled out one of his CDs. He's still around, he still does things. This one happens to be signed to me, which is kind of nice, because I've met him several times. He's very personable. He was a big fan favorite in Colorado. Whether or not he had success in many other places, I'm not sure. But I was a big fan because he was popular in Colorado, and I saw him live many times. And went on to do this. This is a fabulous album that he put out, probably 95, 94, something like that. So anyway, I would love to see The Blessing get back together. They had kind of a cool chemistry, and I think actually a couple of the members still play in his touring band. So it's like, just put the band together, let's see what happens, do something. Here's one that some of you might know. I wish I had their other album on vinyl. It's harder to find. This one is called Private Revolution from World Party. Karl Wallinger has gone on to do many things, produced, written solo albums, whatnot, but World Party were a great 90s band as well, late 80s, early 90s, and they had some initial success from their first 2 albums. And the other album's title is escaping me. It has kind of a funny gas mask type elephant cover on it. Can't think of the title on top of my head. But both this one and the follow-up album were pretty big hits. and they broke up. So I was like, man, World Party were so cool. I would love to see World Party get back together. Now, for all I know, maybe they did and I just missed it. So if I'm saying anything that isn't correct, please correct me in the comments. But I'm pretty certain World Party is no longer. Here's an obvious choice for me because I love the band, I love the singer, I love his solo albums, but Bauhaus, I wish they would get back together and do something. They did do one kind of farewell tour, and they kind of, I think it was called, one more album called Go Away White, which wasn't terrific, but I think they had something, that was very rushed. I think they did it in like 5 days. And they've toured that album, and I don't think it was just a mess. But I would love them to do one more proper reunion and actually give it a serious attempt and see if they could do something special one more time, because they're kind of the godfathers of goth music, and I love their sound. I love the dark atmospheric rock, and it was like one of the bands that introduced me to that genre, Bauhaus. So I'd love to see Bauhaus get back together. Probably won't happen. Peter Murphy is very successful on his own. He's had many, many solo albums that are fantastic, and at some point I'll have to do a collections video on them. Another band, I've got 3 left here, that I would dearly love to see get back together. They were so wonderful together, is Concrete Blonde. I picked this one, pulled this one out of my collection because it's my favorite album of theirs, and it's kind of special because it's an Australian limited edition on red vinyl. It's a solid red, so I won't bore you taking it out, but it's really hard to find. It's hard to find this on vinyl, period. But I've got this one on red, I got a black copy as well, and I'm so fortunate to have it because they're hard to find and it's never been reissued. But I'd love to see Concrete Blonde get back together. The singer, I'm going to probably butcher her name, it's Jonette Napatello, I think. Don't mind, forgive my pronunciation, but they were fantastic. I think they had about 6 albums, and every one of them is dynamite, and they just had an amazing sound that was very unique. You heard a Concrete Blonde song and you knew right away it was Concrete Blonde because of the guitar, and her bass was incredible. She's a bass player singer, and she's got an amazing voice for rock, one of the best female rock voices of all time. You've heard me talk about this band many, many times, and I absolutely dearly love them. They put out 3 albums and just kind of fell off the face of the earth. The Sundays, if anybody happens to have any contact or knowledge of whereabouts of Harriet Wheeler and her bandmates for the Sundays, I would dearly love to see something come back from the Sundays. I heard a rumor about maybe 3 or 4 years ago that they might do something again, but nothing ever came. I never heard anything more. I gotta take this one out and show you because this is really hard to find. This is a picture disc for their debut album called Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic. And this is very limited, very hard to find, and I recently just kind of paid a fortune for it. So, but I love them so much, and I have all 3 of their albums on vinyl, and I've done a collections video on them, so you just have to go back and watch it. But I'm just a big, big fan, and so much so that they're kind of like my second band of all time that I'd love to see get back together. The biggest band I'd love to see get back together of all time for me is Cocteau Twins. This is their last studio album called Milk and Kisses, and they were so good, and oh my god, Cocteau Twins is one of my favorite bands of all time. You can kind of see a box set of their 4AD albums behind me there. I gotta do a collections video on Cocteau Twins. I love this album, I love all their albums, I love everything they've done. I love Robin Guthrie's solo albums. I dearly, dearly wish that Elizabeth Fraser would do something. She's never really put out much music after they broke up. Simon Raymond is the head of Bella Union Records. He's gone on to great success. But together, the 3 of them were just absolutely magic. And I'm gonna save the bulk of my information on Cocteau Twins for my collections video because it's a band that is very close to my heart and one that I wish would get back together one more time, make a new album, go on tour. But there are very damaged relationships among the 3 of them that I don't think the fences will ever get mended on, and I kind of doubt. They had one opportunity here about maybe 3-4 years ago. They did agree to get back together for a one-off show. I think it was either Lollapalooza or Isle of Wight or one of the big music festivals, and they were into the 11th hour going to start rehearsals, I think, and Elizabeth backed out. I don't know if it was because of stage fright or just because old wounds never healed. Something didn't go right, and they backed out, and it was like, oh, so close. So they're still young enough where they could. They were very popular in the all through the 80s and early 90s, and they still could do it. But whether or not it will happen, who knows? The Cocteau Twins would top my list of bands that I would like to see get back together. So everything from Civil Wars, who just recently broke up, who were brand new, to bands like Reflex and the Sundays and Cocteau Twins that have been gone for a while, I would love to see get back together. So I want to hear what your bands are. It doesn't have to be 10, but maybe just list a few, or make a video thread, or do something to let me know what you would like, who you would like to see get back together. But let's be realistic. Let's not talk about bands that have absolutely no hope of getting back together because they're no longer with us, or some other reason where it's like, come on, yeah, if you want to live on another planet, maybe, or see them in heaven. But I'm trying to be realistic where they at least have a shot to get back together, because they're the majority or all of the band is still alive. So anyway, that's it for this week. I've got, well, I didn't think it'd be a long video, but somehow I rambled on for 21 minutes, but leave it to me. I'll find a way. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing what I can come up with for Record Store Day. Make sure you get to the contest, make your entry. All the details are in the contest video, and it wouldn't take long at all to get a chance to win a vinyl record. So that's it for this week. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Enjoy playing all your favorite music, and we'll see you next week for some hopefully cool Record Store Day items. Until then, take care of yourselves, and bye for now.